Hello and welcome into another edition of State of the Sun Devils alongside Jesse Morrison and Damon Allred. I'm Jeremy Schnell. First day of spring practice was today. We're recording this on Tuesday, March 25th. And, well, guys, it was interesting to say the least. They played We Are the Champions like a lot. They are technically, yes, the Big 12 champions. I have a lot of thoughts on this, but first I want to go to you guys and get your thoughts on this because I think you guys have probably different thoughts than I do.
For the record, I want to state that We Are the Champions was playing well before we were even let into the fields, and it was playing well into practice. And when it was done, it was All I Do Is Win by DJ Khaled, and it was Lose Yourself by Eminem, and later it was We Will Rock You by Queen over and over and over and over. Kenny just had some things he wanted to get off his chest today through music, I think.
Yeah, from the soundbite that Kenny had, he basically said that he was trying to play it because they're going to be propped up so much this season, and he wanted to just like have it basically turn into background noise and kind of like annoy the players. And Sam said that it annoyed him. This to me just seems like football guy stuff, and like it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, and it's whatever to me. I don't have an issue with it, or like, let's do this. Like, I think it's just football guy stuff.
My problem with it is, like, if you want them to forget about it, stop playing it. I think you could get it through their head that they were the Big 12 champions. I think you could say that to them. You guys won the Big 12, or the guys who were here won the Big 12. Cool. Who cares? This is a new team, new roster. Not everybody from last season is here.
Although most of them.
Yes, but I think you could say that to them without having to jam it down their throat a bunch of times with a bunch of different songs with All I Do Is Win and We Are the Champions. That's just my thought process. I usually agree with things like Kenny Dillingham. I don't care what he does. I'm not going to tell Kenny Dillingham how to run his football team. It obviously worked really well last season, whatever the heck he did. He's an incredible football coach, and we say that a lot on this podcast. I just thought it was weird. That's just me.
Again, we, Jeremy, are, I think a YouTube commenter last week said that none of these guys have played ball.
But I played sports in high school.
I played sports.
And let me tell you.
Football, though, I played sparingly. And so, but it's just football guy stuff. This is what you just got to understand, that this is what football people do. They do things like this, and it's just something that you got to, accept, and then just kind of be like, it doesn't make sense to me, but it makes sense to football people. So that's what's going on here.
I think tough love works just as well as these type of messages, right?
Well, these are Gen Zers or whatever they.
Well, you know how I say to you all the time, sounds like a you problem? That didn't just come from my vocabulary, Jesse. Like my lacrosse coach used to say it to me.
Yeah, but again, you're from a different. You're like closer to being a millennial or are a millennial. I don't really know the years. They change
it's
all
weird.
the time.
Yeah.
None of this really matters, though.
And the grand scheme of things, no.
Let's get to the stuff that does matter.
It really doesn't matter. It's just
in September, if they're playing We Are the Champions in the stadium, then I'll get mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're on to day one of practice.
What if they play it as like a montage on a video from last season?
They didn't win the national championship.
They won a Big 12 championship, though.
No. They're the champions of a conference. That's cool.
Better than anything you've ever done.
Guys.
That was low. Sam Levitt, huh? How about that guy? He looks big, right?
I can't even tell you how nice it is.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how nice it is to be entering a spring camp where there is not only a defined starter, but a starter at quarterback who has national attention on him and has video games.
Man, I remember this. This happened a couple, like 4 years ago, Jesse.
Jaden Daniels?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then they switched offensive coordinators. They aren't switching offensive
Yeah,
coordinators.
Marcus Arroyo was
Exactly.
here. You know what the
Exactly.
first play I saw today was?
Tell me.
A screen. You know what we saw a lot of last year? No.
A wide receiver
No.
screen or a running back screen?
Okay, first play was a screen to Kyson. Second play was a screen to Malik McLean.
Okay, so why are we running wide receiver screens? I hate that.
No, okay.
Wide
This
receiver.
offense-
This is not the NFL, Jeremy. Wide receiver screens work in college.
This offense is built out of the screen game. And if you missed that all of last season,
I was there.
the offense is built out of the screen game. And when Shimon Mateer was catching screen passes and taking them into the end zone, when Derek Eusebio was catching screen passes and taking them into the end zone, Jesse,
The one time you did, which is
Like,
cool.
this offense gets production out of screen passes, and it does it in a really cool way because of how its offensive line blocks in these sets.
And the wide
that's
receivers too.
And
yeah.
that's a credit to Marcus Arroyo and how this offense is designed.
But
And
yeah,
so
back to your point about Sam Levitt. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No. That is the point. Is
Yeah.
this offense is just going to be hitting the ground running right from day one because, the offensive line had to move around some pieces. Ben Coleman moving to center is obviously a big move, but Sam Levitt still being under center or behind center if you want to be the never go under center
They
guys.
go under center a little bit.
They do.
We saw it.
And Kyson Brown looks awesome. I mean, physically, he is much, much bigger. Jordan Ham, our good friend at Sports 360 AZ, made a great comparison that he's got the big, wide shoulders to small waist ratio that Bijan Robinson had, who Jordan covered him at South Point Catholic, obviously, before moving on to Texas. Like that size is what you want from a running back. Cam Scatterbu is obviously a little bit differently built than what your ideal running back build may be. But Kyson Brown, I think, has all the tools, all the experience in the offense to come in here and be the number one running back. And I think, him having Sam Levitt, who he worked a lot with, obviously in practice last season, when Cam Scatterbu's workload would get higher and they needed another running back to come in, Kyson Brown was that guy. And so they have that connection already, I think, between him and Sam. And, with Kanye and Raleek Brown and other guys in that room, I think that the offense is just totally poised to keep going. And Sam Levitt leading that, I think all the pressure is on the offense to lead this team, don't you think?
Yeah.
What I like, Damon, is you're reporting back to us about just the level of like Sam and Jordan and Kyson
yeah.
getting we talk about this whole like we are the champions thing. Like they have to still take everything seriously. It seems
And
like
they do. Like we're never seeing anything in their approach that says
that's what
they
I'm
aren't.
saying is like they've obviously hit the weight room. They haven't like taken time off.
Jordan looks much bigger this year.
Jordan Tyson looks bigger, and he's had to rehab a little bit in the off season. So
Friend of Jesse's, Jordan Tyson.
yeah, I saw him at a Suns game. He was cool. He asked me if I was going to be at spring practice. I said the Saturday ones.
Cool.
You know who we saw today was Melquan Stovall and Xavier Guillory, and then Cam Scatterbu was also on the fields. So
you saved Cam Scatterbu for last in that sentence?
Well, okay.
and then Cam Scatterbu was there.
Yeah. So what I mean is like what they're doing with ASU's football program right now.
I like that, yeah.
As far as like 2 years ago, you weren't getting people coming back.
And then Cam is he's all around Tempe right
Yeah,
now.
he was
Like,
at the
he was
baseball game
the other day. Yeah, so I like seeing former Sun Devils, whether it be from the 80s, 90s, whatever it may be, but currently, that guys just graduated, coming back, showing love and support to their former classmates. It's pretty cool. So yeah, that was cool to see. Jesse, in terms of the running backs, I know you brought up Kyson Brown there for a second, Damon. I do want to get a little bit into what we're going to see from the new guy in Kanye, because in terms of day one of spring practice, we're not going to see someone hit the ground running exactly like we're going to hopefully see in August, September, October. They're still learning the playbook, stuff like that. But throughout the rest of spring, what do you want to see from him if he wants to help fill those shoes of Cam Scatterbu?
I mean, I don't think I need to see him like fill those shoes. What I'm kind of looking for this year is more of what I want to see is it's something that we haven't really seen in the Sean Aguano era, except for like the 4-game COVID year when he had Chip Trainum and Rashad White. I kind of want to see like a real balance of carries. between Kai-sun and Kanye, because I don't necessarily think either of them can really step up and be Cam Scadaboo this year, but I think the combination of them together could potentially fill that void. And so I kind of want to see, like, what I'm looking for is how much they are both utilized as far as like with the first team, or, you know, with just like the amount of carries that one of them's getting versus the other one. I want to see, because I really do want to see it be kind of like a balanced thing this year, because again, I don't think that this is the team to ride one guy with. I think it's going to have to be both guys that get a lot of carries.
Damon, any other observations that you had from spring practice today that you wanted to touch on?
Let's think.
Is there anything from the defensive side? Because we haven't touched anything on the defense just of yet. You see any guys playing the nickel that
any pass rushers that maybe could be good, that maybe they could actually get to the quarterback for the first time in like ever that I've been here.
Since T-Sizzle.
So today,
exactly.
today I spent most of my time with the offense, just trying to see what like the Sam and Jordan connection looked like after not seeing it for a while. Defensively, I will say, you know, who I saw that might please you is Anthony Cooper, who missed all of last season. And with that ACL injury, he started playing a little bit more in practice toward the end of the season, but was never able to get cleared to play. And this is going to be his last year of eligibility. And so for a guy going into his last year, and we know the kind of difference that he made as a pass rusher in Kenny Dillingham's first year. I think he led the team in sacks that year. I mean, I think that if you add him to a defensive line rotation that's pretty much bringing everyone back and is able to improve and get a lot bigger. We know about CJ Fight and how he's been improving every year. And now, obviously, we saw that squat video where he's even bigger and even stronger now. And, you know, entering his junior season, he could be in position to kind of stake his claim to be an NFL player. And so I think that, you know, on all of these fronts, I think a lot is going in the defensive line's favor.
Would like to see multiple guys with 7 or 8 sacks this year. I think that is a key to this team's success. And, you know, I think that last year they kind of got away with it. And that's not going to happen every year. Like you have to have a pass rush. You have to be able to get after the quarterback. It's just impossible and to not do that. And I think that it would, you know, if say they had gotten after Quinn Ewers on that on the 4th down play and overtime, they're Peach Bowl champions. So
yeah, yep. That will do it for our football talk.
Wait, let me end on this for football.
Tell me.
There was one cool little line that Kenny Dillingham shared that came from Trent Bourget, actually. That was a good quote.
Coach Bourget.
Yeah, Coach Bourget, assistant running backs coach, who Kanye Udo says sometimes looked like he drew up the offense himself just because of how well he knows it.
Well,
so
he's
that's pretty
been
cool.
at Arizona State since
Well, he's only
Terrell
been in the
Suggs
offense
played.
a couple years. This is only his second year in Arroyo's offense. So, but he said the sailboat doesn't sail on last year's wind, or on yesterday's wind, I guess is the quote. So,
but yeah,
how that applies
goes
to this
for last
season.
season.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Again, football guy stuff.
Yeah.
It's very, very good line, I think.
ASU women's basketball has a new coach.
Officially,
Official, as Ian Rappaport likes to say.
Yeah.
And and I get notifications that just say officially official. So Ian, if you would stop doing that, that would be great.
Yeah, just tell me who is
just
officially
tell me who is
official.
officially official.
I don't, but it does get him
I
engagement because
disagree.
you click on it to see
Yep,
who is
exactly.
officially
Yep.
official.
So there you go.
Maybe he's doing the right thing.
Yeah, keep doing you, Ian Rappaport.
Yeah, Molly Miller. Jesse, initial thoughts on the hire?
Oh, it's great. I mean, she led GCU to 30-plus wins this past season.
In a row.
30 straight wins.
Yes.
Yeah, 30 straight wins. You know, she had her team looking really good against Baylor in the tournament first round game. I think that she seems like somebody that's really energized to coach this team. I mean, if you want to read into the GCU president's comments, like she's obviously been looking for
We'll get to that in a second.
she's obviously been looking for, you know, a bigger job, and she's got it now. And I think that's going to be really something that, you know, she's going to take seriously. And I just think that they needed a change. I looked at it and I believe they did not get to 10 conference wins in the entire tenure of Natasha Adair. So, you've got a coach coming in that just won 30 straight games, and which is, I believe, every single conference game that they played this year, GCU won. So, I mean, she's coming off a dominant season. Like when Coach A came in, she was coming off a very good season. This is a coach that's coming off of a dominant season, and
she nearly beat Baylor on the road with her GCU Lobes too.
Exactly.
A regular opponent now for her, Baylor.
Yeah, and that she showed that she can coach in the Big 12, which is awesome. And I just hope that she can turn this around, because ASU has a very rich tradition in women's basketball, and I really want that to be back. I want to see fans and
get to the occasional Sweet 16. Let's do that.
Yeah, I want to.
Let's start there.
Yeah,
I want to see fans back in that arena for women's basketball games. It's felt like, it's just been empty the past few years, and it's just I felt like all the energy of that program was kind of sucked out, and I think that she's kind of brought that back, and I think that Sun Devil fans are happy about this, excited about this, because they're familiar with her. That's the thing. Like, nobody knew who Natasha Adair was because she was an East Coast coach. She's a good coach. She's a good coach.
She's going to go somewhere, and she's going to
go
success.
somewhere back on the East Coast, I think, and probably have a lot of success. But she was unfamiliar to people in the Valley and the West Coast in general. So I think that having Molly, who has this West Coast, West Coast connections, she's been around
here already.
Yeah, I think that she's just people are excited because they know about her and know what she's done.
Yeah. Now, getting into the point about her, well, first of all, her presser is going to be tomorrow. Mm-hmm. We're recording this on Tuesday once again. And for something that when I was listening to Jeff Munn's interview with her the other day at the Weather Up, he said that, she and it goes to your energy point, Jesse. Her energy shows that she is kind of built of the same cloth of Kenny Dillingham. And she agreed with that sentiment. Now, if ASU can continue to get coaches, managers, whatever it may be, into, different programs at the school that have that energy, I think it'll be beneficial for the entire school moving forward. Not just in sports, but, whether it be a professor. You don't want to go to a class when the professor is just like, all right, here's your homework. This is what you guys are going to... No, you want someone that is actually very passionate about what they do. And I'm not saying that Coach Adair wasn't passionate about what she does.
No, she was.
But it jumps off the page when you look at Molly Miller.
Yes.
And when you listen to her talk.
And one thing to that point, too, is she has said multiple times now that not only is she cut from the same cloth as Dillingham, but she says she's wired the same as him, wired the same as Graham Rossini.
Yeah.
And she says that, her vision for the program completely matches his. And we've heard him talk about at length on Burns and Gambo week after week about how his goals for this program is for ASU athletics to be the best that it can be. And just the way that he's bringing that to the table week in and week out, he is doing it to a much greater extent than I think Ray Anderson ever did in terms of just passion for the university and what he wants the university to look like. And I think Molly Miller has that same kind of stuff as far as she's coming in here talking about wanting to take the team back to national championship contending status. And I think that all bodes really well. I think we've got to learn more about what she means by being wired the same way as those guys. And we need to learn more about how she wants to recruit this team, because we've talked just before getting on air about, the cupboard's getting pretty bare as far as players on this ASU women's basketball team, which obviously that comes with the territory of a coaching change these days. But, it's still going to be quite a few tasks that she has trying to build this roster.
Yeah, right away. And the portal started on Monday. So, this is where it starts.
And you talk about her related to Kenny Dillingham. I would say that there's now in 4 of the most important sports at the university, there are coaches that are kind of wired the same way. And I think it's Kenny. I think it's JJ Van Neal with the volleyball program. I think you see it with Willie Bloomquist with baseball. He's a Sun Devil. He's very passionate about it.
You see it with Greg Powers too. A little
Yep,
bit. Yeah.
Greg Powers. Yep. I'm sorry. I'm five. Yeah, Greg Powers, also a Sun Devil, very passionate. And then now you've got Molly, not a Sun Devil, but
Passionate about the Valley.
passionate about the Valley, and
which that's another point we should talk about is, her family, that it was probably an easier choice to choose ASU over the SEC options because, she's got 2 young kids that have lived in the Valley their whole life, and now they don't really have to move if they don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. And then real quick,
the Mueller stuff,
GCU a little bit salty,
more than a little bit.
Yeah,
it seems.
I'm gonna anger some GCU people here, but I'm sorry, but GCU is small potatoes compared to ASU, and they need to realize that. Obviously, she's going to take the ASU job over GCU. GCU's not the best thing since sliced bread, as far as hoops goes. It's a nouveau riche hoops program, and it's great that they've had success. It's awesome, but I'm sorry, obviously you're going to take the Arizona State job. So. And this new coach that they have, hate to break it to you, but probably when he gets a better opportunity, he's going to leave too. So
it's a good hire for them.
It's a good hire for them, but they're a mid-major program. Usually, unless you're Mark Few at Gonzaga, usually you leave your mid-major program for a better opportunity.
One point to that is that Winston Gandy, the new coach at GCU, came from South Carolina under Don Staley and worked with Duke men's basketball before that, right?
Yeah.
And so he's
been under Coach K and Don Staley.
Yeah, so he's got quite a resume. I think to GCU's point, their president, Brian Mueller, talked about...
Yeah, here's the quote real quick. She's interviewed for jobs after every single year.
Good for her.
And then he went on to say, we wanted somebody who wanted to be here.
And to that point, I understand his perspective as far as they're getting ready to make a move to the Mountain West.
Which is still not a power conference.
Right. No, Mountain West is definitely still down the ladder, but it's 6 or 7 on the ladder instead of 10 or 11 like the WCC. And in addition to that, I think one thing that GCU basketball does have going for it is that when this house settlement comes through and revenue sharing starts to happen, they'll be able to devote pretty much all of their money to basketball, whereas most schools will have a football program that will get the bulk of that money. And so I do understand Mueller's perspective just insofar as those two aspects of their jobs. I do think that the GCU basketball jobs are pretty good because they don't have to worry about spending as much on a football team. But yeah, even with all that considered, I think Molly Miller is still going to have a much better chance at making the tournament year in and year out at ASU than she does at GCU. And that's kind of the biggest point. I think.
I don't know the salary details yet, but I'm sure
it's going to
she's
be a lot more.
Probably doubled or tripled her salary.
It was $250,000 at GCU. Yeah. I imagine.
I believe Coach A was making somewhere around $600,000. So, I'm sorry, but GCU, if you want to pay your coach that much, maybe you can keep them.
Speaking of the transfer portal, we went over Coach. Miller was in the transfer portal, right? Because
so is Frank Caliendo, apparently.
We'll talk about that another time. But Joson Sanon is apparently entering the transfer portal.
Not only entered. Borzello said today.
Has entered.
So will not play in the Crown.
That's, yeah.
As if there was any doubt.
Well...
Who are they even going to have in the Crown? By the way, ASU's playing in this tournament next week called the Crown. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's a new tournament, and it's kind of okay, and it's in Vegas, and it's going to be like a week-long thing.
On Fox and Fox Sports 1.
Yeah. Woo.
It's all Power 5 teams.
Some of the guys on ASU football were able to play when they entered the portal. Is that a possibility that Joson gets to play?
But it's not the national the college football playoff.
I don't know that Kenny Dillingham is Bobby Hurley.
Okay. I don't know if Bobby Hurley's Kenny Dillingham.
Yeah.
It's
probably that way.
Crown.
I meant to say it.
Yeah.
Again, it's the Crown. We've never even seen this before. We
anyway,
don't even know
Jesse,
if it's going to be good.
This is something that we've seen after seasons under Bobby Hurley. Either the players decide that they're going to test the draft waters if they're of the ilk of a recruit like Joson Sanon, or they enter the portal. That has
Which-
happened a lot recently.
Maybe that's part of the question here too, as well. Is are we surprised Joson isn't
No.
at least testing draft
No.
waters?
Yeah,
I'm not surprised he entered the portal.
I'm not
There
surprised
are-
he entered the portal, but the draft waters thing, like,
There are worse
eh.
players testing the waters.
Yes, I agree with that.
I mean,
but
Bronny James.
he scored 39
I know.
points
I'm
yesterday.
kidding. I'm just saying Joson had a better freshman year than
You
Bronny
you
James.
want LeBron James to
Joson also
call
didn't
you out
have a
courtside?
cardiac
Love you,
arrest.
LeBron, one of my favorite players of all time.
Yeah, but does this worry you about Jaden Quaintance?
Well, I'm gonna just. This is reckless speculation, but I've seen a picture of Jaden Quaintance. Doesn't look like he's going to be playing basketball anytime soon. So I'm not that worried about him in general because I don't think like he's going to be playing basketball.
Are you talking about the
anytime
hockey
soon.
picture?
The hockey picture, not great.
It wasn't the worst thing. I've
It
ever
looked
seen.
like knee surgery to me.
Reckless again. Reckless.
Yeah, this is
Reckless
speculation.
speculation.
It was
Reckless
like wrap
speculation.
and brace and
Yeah, that
crutch.
looks to me like a knee surgery.
Possibly,
Possibly.
but
You guys
if,
are overreacting.
if he does end up being able to play next season, and
Probably portal.
you think so?
Yeah, because the results aren't coming here. I'm not sure players want to play for Bobby. Like, I think we've seen the NIL like expand here with ASU men's basketball. You've seen the James Harden stuff. It doesn't really seem like that's an excuse anymore. So it just seems like players don't want to play here for whatever reason. Maybe it's the arena that needs to be fixed.
Here's my thing. Like, Amir Ali and most of the freshmen on this team and most of the players on this team, for that matter, throughout the season were talking about how much they love playing for Bobby. And
Sure, I'm sure they do.
we didn't hear that from Joson as much, or
We didn't hear much of Joson
Yeah.
speaking. Though.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
what I'm getting at here is I think Joson is more the standout from the group wanting to leave rather than the
Here's
rule.
what I'll say, Damon.
But-
they've had 3 straight seasons of guys that have left the team. in the
Mass
middle of the season.
exodus.
I
is
know,
every
but
year.
I
And-
don't
and-
think that one leaving means everyone is going to leave.
That is
Warren Washington was a guy that probably should have stayed here, and
If no one was
Did
going to
not
stay,
get-
Cambridge. Cambridge
Did
said
not-
he was going to stay here and then
if
left.
no one
Yeah.
was going to stay, I don't think Bobby does too.
I mean,
I don't think that
he stayed
matters
in the past.
Yeah, I
I-
don't think that matters.
I think we're going to be sitting here 3 months from now with at least 2 or 3 of the freshmen still.
Okay, that's 2 or 3.
Sure,
but, like,
but there's-
that's a
there's-
lot of players that like. Do we think that?
2 or 3 out of 4.
Do we think Sean Phillips Jr. is going to come back?
Yeah.
I don't. I think he'll probably go somewhere that he can start. He's a starting caliber player.
Okay.
Here's what
maybe
I think.
not at maybe not
Here's
at
what I
power
think.
4 level, but he's a starting caliber player.
Here's what I think. Amir Ali stays. That's it from this freshman class.
I don't know.
That's
man.
what I think.
I don't know.
Trevor Best?
Trevor Best, maybe.
No, I
he
think
showed
Trevor
something.
Best and Jaden Quaintance are connected.
Yeah, and so if Quaintance leaves, then Best might go
Don't-
with him.
I don't think Quaintance is going to leave.
I'll
I'll be proven wrong.
No, that's
maybe,
fine. It's just us.
but-
you can have.
All we're
your
doing is
opinion.
speculating.
We're just having speculation time here, and we'll say we're wrong.
And again, I think that
If we are.
I think that Jaden Quaintance, there's a high likelihood that he is going to be clapping on the bench next year.
Jesse, you can't just say that.
I can't.
What kind of injury would cause that?
Well,
an ACL.
No, an ACL is like a 10-month thing for a teenager.
Yeah, which would be like
December.
So which
And
would
then
be
he would
clapping on the bench next season.
Clapping on the bench next season or clapping on the bench to start next season?
Here's my question before we get out of here. Do you think Juju Watkins is going to play next season?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think she's going to play next year.
No, I think
too much
she'll-
on the line.
I think,
Juju Watkins is like a without a doubt number 1 pick.
correct. So
Jaden Quaintance isn't a without a doubt number 1 pick.
He's a
not
lottery
even-
pick,
No,
though.
he's not even a without a doubt top 5 pick.
But
he
if-
has
if
to
he-
go out and prove
if-
that he's a top 5 pick. Next year's class is insane.
I still think that
With
I
the
still think
boozers
a
and-
lottery
yeah.
pick could.
And DeBonsa,
yeah.
I still think he could be a lottery pick. That's top 14.
I don't think he'll be a lottery pick if he doesn't play at all next season. That's what
I
I'll
mean,
say.
Maybe not, but
We'll have to see.
Still.
there's still a lot of time in this offseason to kind of get a little understanding of what's happening in this men's basketball program, and we'll get a chance to see what's happening with this women's basketball program tomorrow. Jesse and Damon, you guys will be at the presser, correct?
I
Yes?
will be at the
No?
presser.
He will be. I
Yes.
will not.
Okay, Jesse will be there. He'll be getting all the content for us, and Molly Miller is going to speak tomorrow, and I'm excited to see what this program is all about moving forward. That's going to do it for this edition of State of the Sun Devils. Thank you so much for listening and watching. You can find us on all forms of social media at AZ Sports Devils. You can find all of Damon's articles on the Arizona Sports app and ArizonaSports.com, presented by Y-Refi. Thank you so much for listening. For Jesse Morrison and Damon Allred, I'm Jeremy Schnell. Talk to you soon.